Hello friends, welcome back to VOW DAYS. Welcome to the Prelims test series discussion, and today we are discussing test 9 of Prelims, and this is part 1 where we will discuss the first set of questions. And before we begin, a small information: the document that we are using is the summary document of the solutions prepared by VOW DAYS. As you all know, for every test, Vision will give you the answers, and that will be about 30-40 pages. So what we have tried to do is we have summarized these 30-40 pages into just about 10-12 pages, so that it will become easy for you during your revision. Because at the end of the day, what is required for UPSC? It's about revising the same thing multiple times, right? So that's what we have tried to do. If you want to subscribe to it, do let us know in the comments, or to mail us in the mail that is given in the description. Now let us quickly begin with the first question. The first question is on the socialist principles. If you see India is a socialist country. That means it's not completely socialist, but yeah, we have that socialist lean because it is clearly mentioned in the preamble. So the state, and also along with that, another important thing is the DPSP. The DPSP will actually, the main aim is to ensure the economic justice. Social and political justice is actually ensured through the fundamental rights, but economic justice is ensured through DPSP, and also the socialist goals of the government is also ensured through this. So the socialist principles that direct the state through Article 38 to promote welfare of the people by securing and protecting social order in which justice, social, economic and political shall inform all the institutions of national life. Article 39 to secure the adequate means of livelihood, the equitable distribution of resources, and the operation of economic system to prevent concentration of wealth, equal pay for equal work, and opportunities for healthy development of children. And in Article 39A, we had equal justice and to provide free legal aid to the poor. And 41 is to secure the right to work, to education, and to public assistance with respect to employment, old age, sickness, and disablement. Article 42 talks about provisions for just and humane conditions. And 43 talks about secure living wage, decent standard of living, cultural and economic opportunities, social opportunities for all the workers, and also the state shall promote cottage industries on individuals or cooperative basis in rural areas. And 43A is basically to take steps for the participation, for securing the participation of workers in the management of industry. And 47, Article 47 is to raise the level of nutrition and standard of living of the people and improve the public health. This is about the socialist principles. Now next, the second question is on Article 24. These kind of simple questions sometimes they are being asked. What is Article 23, 24? Because these are a bit confusing articles. Because 21 everyone will know, but 22, 23, 24 again they will confuse us, because 25 we know, and you have articles like Article 20. These are a bit confusing sometimes, because now in the normal circumstances we might not feel that, but in the exam you will definitely feel that confusion because of the options how they are being given. So this Article 24 is against the child employment. The Article 24 prohibits child employment under 14 years in any factory, mine or hazardous activity like construction work or railways. But the important thing is that it does not prohibit employment in harmless or innocent work. The Child Labour Act of 1986 is the most important law in this direction. In addition to that, we also have Employment of Children Act 1938, Factors Act of 48, Mines Act 52, Merchant Shipping Act 58, the Plantation Labour Act of 51, the Motor Transport Working Act 51, the Apprentice Act 61, BD and Cigar Workers Act 66, and other similar acts prohibit employment and children below a certain age. The Bonded Labour System Act of 76 prohibit the beggar, but it does not deal with the issue of child labour. So these are the things about child labour. Now let's move on to the next question. The third question is on the types of majority. There are various types of majority which has to be proved in the parliament for passing certain bills. So there are different types of majority. If you see, first is simple majority. Simple majority, as the name suggests, 50%. The majority 50% plus that 50% should be the maximum, or you can say majority of 50% plus members present and voting in the house. That means among the members who are present and voting, at least 50% have to vote. And this ordinary bill, it needs simple majority only, all the ordinary bills. Okay. And the money bill, financial bill, ordinance, the other ordinary bills, adjournment motion, no confidence motion, financial emergency, Then to declare a president's rule in a state, that is state emergency, election of speaker, deputy speaker of Lok Sabha, all of these things come under this simple majority. Next you have special majority, that is majority other than simple. Majorities other than simple, absolute and effective. Okay, simple, absolute and effective, they are not part of this. So the special majority means basically if you see under article 249, the majority of 2/3 of the members. Okay, absolute majority means majority of total of members, but in the special majority we have majority of 2/3 of the members present and voting. It is used to pass the Rajya Sabha resolution to empower the parliament to pass a legislation on the state subject. Okay, and next you have the special majority under 368, where majority of 2/3 of the members present and voting. This is the thing, and this also has to be more than 50%. Okay, majority of 2/3 of present and voting plus 50%. This is the thing, and it is used for constitutional amendment bills that do not harm the federal structure, removing judges of Supreme Court and High Court, removing the CAG, CEC, national emergency approval, resolution of state legislature for abolition and creation of legislative council. The special majority according to article 368 plus 50% of ratification by simple majority. It is used when an amendment tries to change federal structure. Example, bill that introduced the National Judicial Appointment Commission, the NJAC. It needed support of at least 15 state legislatures out of 29. And you have the special majority under article 61, which is a majority of 2/3 of the total strength of the house, and this is used for impeachment of the president. Okay, so there are two types of, again in the special majority there are two similar kinds. One is majority of total, majority of total, that is majority of 2/3 of the total strength of the house. This is one thing, and majority of 2/3 present and voting, that is another type of special majority. Okay, and this majority of 2/3 present and voting is under the article 368, and this one majority of 2/3 of members of the house is for the removal of the president. Next, the fourth question is on fundamental duties. Fundamental duties are added in article 51A by the 42nd Amendment Act in 1976 under the recommendation of Sardar Swaran Singh Committee. It contained 11 duties. The 10th came with the 42nd Amendment Act. 11th is added by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act under Vajpayee. So initially you can say there are only 9 duties. Later on the 10th and 11th were added by the 42nd and 86th. Remember these as well. Sometimes if they want to ask a tough question, they will ask these kind of factual questions. So the duties, if you see, it shall be the duty of every citizen to abide by the constitution, respect the ideals and institutions and national flag and national anthem, and to cherish and follow the noble ideas which inspired our national struggle for freedom, and to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service when are called so, to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religion, linguistic and regional or sectional diversities, to value and preserve rich heritage of our composite culture, protect and improve natural environment including forest, river, wildlife, develop the scientific temper, humanism, the spirit of inquiry, safeguard public property, strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels, and who is a parent, guardian, and provide opportunities for the education of child or ward between 6 to 14 years. Adopted from the USSR Constitution, and even Japanese Constitution also have these, and they are the only democratic constitution in the world to contain a list of duties back then, but now even India also has it. Now fifth question is on the landmark judgments. So the first is the Minerva Mills versus Union of India 1980. In this, the Supreme Court said that the fundamental rights are not an end in themselves, but they are means to an end, which are specified in the DPSPs, the Directive Principles. So fundamental rights and DPSPs together constitute the core of the commitment to the social revolution, and together are the conscience of the Constitution. Harmony and balance between both of them is an essential feature of the basic structure of Constitution. This is what Supreme Court said in the Minerva Mills case of 1980. Next is the Madras versus Champak Dorai Rajan case, led to the first Constitutional Amendment Act, the first major judgment regarding reservation in Republic of India. Next is Golaknath case of 1967. Supreme Court said that the Parliament could not curtail any fundamental rights. The fundamental rights could not be curtailed, is said by them. You have the Shankari Prasad judgment where Supreme Court held that the power to amend Constitution under Article 368 do not include power to amend the fundamental right, and that law in Article 13.8 include ordinary law made in exercise of legislative power and do not include the amendment made in exercise of the constituent power. Thus, a constitutional amendment act will be valid even if it abridges or takes away fundamental rights. Supreme Court said in the Shankari Prasad judgment. And next you have the landmark Keshwananda Bharati judgment. This landmark Keshwananda Bharati judgment is the landmark judgment of Supreme Court, and that it has outlined the basic structure doctrine of constitution, also the fundamental right case. If you see, the court in a 7-6 judgment, which is 13 judge bench, said that it's right to strike down constitutional amendment that was in violation of the basic architecture of the constitution. So these are the important cases that we need to know. Next, the sixth question is with regard to Article 124 to 147 and Part 5 of the Constitution. They deal with the organization, independence, jurisdiction, power and procedure of Supreme Court. Parliament is authorized to regulate the seat of the Supreme Court. If you see, Article 130 declares Delhi as the seat, but it authorizes the CJI to appoint other places of Supreme Court as the Supreme Court seat, but the permission has to be taken from the President beforehand. It is only optional and not compulsory. No court can give any direction to the President or CJI to appoint any other seat of Supreme Court. Okay, so this is about Article 124 to 147 with regard to Supreme Court. Next, the question number 7, and this is with regarding to the Article 14 of Indian Constitution. Article 14 talks about the right to equality. So under this, no person shall be denied treatment of equality before law or equal protection of laws within the territory of India. It is extended to all citizens and foreigners, okay, and statutory corporations, foreign companies, registered societies, etc. It forbids class legislation, but do not forbid classification which rests upon the reasonable ground of distinction. Class legislation and violates equal protection guaranteed by the class legislation, which violates the equal protection guaranteed by the Constitution. So that means everyone is equal before the eyes of law, and equals will be treated in an equal manner. And this is also available to foreigners. The articles which are not available to foreigners are 15, 16, 19, 29 and 30. So these are the ones. Next, 8th question is on action plan for introduction of cheetah in India. The government of India decided to reintroduce cheetahs in India. So Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh is the place where we are protecting, or we have introduced these cats, that means the cheetahs, okay, and it is the place where we have 4 big cats of India: tiger, lion, leopard and cheetah. Now the Kuno National Park has grasslands and sparse forest, home to abundance of mammals, reptiles, birds and butterflies, and Asiatic lion as well. It got its name from the Kuno River, and this Kuno River flows from the south and north and divides Kuno National Park into 2 sections. The Girna River of Maharashtra, it originates in the western Ghats of Nashik. Girna is in Maharashtra, remember, and flows across Nashik, Jalgaon, swinging north in the Jalgaon and join Tapi. And other recommended sites for holding and conservation of the cheetahs, if you see, the Nora Dehi Wildlife Sanctuary is also in Madhya Pradesh, Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, and the Bainsrogar Wildlife Sanctuary Complex in Madhya Pradesh, the Shagar Bulge in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, Mukundra Tiger Reserve, it's a forest enclosure which is of 80 square kilometers in Rajasthan. These are the areas. Next, the 9th question is on the form of government. We have the various forms of government. First is oligarchy. Oligarchy is that power structure where people rest with small number of people distinguished by royalty, wealth, education and military control. That is called oligarchy. That means only very few people will rule the entire country. Next, you have aristocracy. Aristocracy, here few elite citizens rule, in contrast with the democracy in which all the citizens will be able to rule. That is called aristocracy. Only the elite people, aristocrats, they will be having all these rights, political rights and all. Next, technocracy is when the experts or technocrats come and rule. Experts in technology, specific tech, would be in control of all the decision making. Scientists, engineers, technologists who have knowledge, expertise and skill would compose the governing body instead of politicians, businessmen and economists. This is called technocracy. Next is theocracy. Theocracy, here religion play an important role. The official policy is governed by the immediate divine guidance or by officials regarded as divinely guided or in pursuant of the doctrine to a particular religion. Example, in theocracy, an ultimate leader can be the supreme deity. Next, meritocracy. Here, appointments and responsibilities are objectively assigned to the individuals based upon the merits. And you have autocracy. Here, supreme political power is concentrated in the hands of one person. By contrast, in single party state, where no other parties can run candidates in the election. Next, totalitarianism, where extreme version of authoritarianism. The totalitarianism is the extreme version of authoritarianism. Here, state holds total authority over state and seeks to control all aspects of public and private life wherever necessary. And you have dictatorship, which is contrast to the democracy and totalitarianism, and controls every aspect of the personal life, opposes pluralism. Example, government allows multiple lifestyles and options, that is called dictatorship. Next, monarchy. Monarchy is when the state is ruled by individual who typically inherits a throne by birth and rules for his entire life until he abdicates, and that also he will abdicate to the next generation, his bloodline. These are the various forms of government. Next, the 10th question is on important constitutional amendment acts. The constitutional amendment acts are made to amend the constitution and change the nature of constitution according to the demand. The laws made for admission or establishment of new states, Article 2, and formation of new states and altering of the boundaries or names of the existing states come under Article 3. They are not considered as an amendment under Article 368. These two, Article 2 and Article 3, does not come under amendment under Article 368, so simple majority is sufficient. 100th Constitutional Amendment Act enacted to give effect to acquiring of certain territories by India and transfer of certain other to Bangladesh as per the land boundary agreement. Supreme Court in the Berubari case said that a settlement of boundary dispute do not amount to the cession of territory. Supreme Court said in the Berubari case. The 99th Amendment Act was set up was basically to set up this NJAC, the National Judicial Appointment Commission, but later on it was declared as illegal. Supreme Court struck it down because it basically violates the basic structure. Next, the Berubari case. Supreme Court held that the power of Parliament to diminish the areas of the state do not lead to or do not consider as secession of Indian territory to a foreign country. Basically, the land disputes between countries and giving of some of land and taking some other land, those will not be considered as secession. So, Indian territory can be ceded to a foreign country only by amending under Article 368. Okay. Right. So, next one. The next one is Lok Adalat. Lok Adalat. Here, the cases or disputes pending in the court or which are at pre-litigation stage, not yet brought before the court, are comprised and they are settled in an amicable manner. It got statutory status under the Legal Service Authority Act 1987. Supreme Court delineate its benefits as follows: no court fee, and if court fee is paid, it will be returned. Procedural flexibility is there, and this is to ensure speedy trial of disputes. The procedural laws like CPC and Evidence Act, while asserting the claim of Lok Sabha, they strictly they are not followed. And claim by Lok Adalat, not Lok Sabha, by Lok Adalat, they are not followed. And the parties to the dispute can directly interact with the judge through their counsel. Award by Lok Adalat is binding on the parties and has the status of a civil court, decree of the civil court, and is non-appealable, which does not cause delay in the settlement of disputes finally. So this is about the Lok Adalat. Next, Collective Security Treaty Organization, the CSTO. So it was signed in Tashkent on May 15, 1992, enforced on 20th of April 1994, includes Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia and Tajikistan. In 2006, CSTO has resumed membership, and in 2012, Uzbekistan suspended it. So it is not an EU organization, it's a different organization where Russia plays a leading role. Objective is strengthening peace, international and regional security, protection on collective basis of independence, territorial integrity and sovereignty of members. So this is similar to that of NATO. You can say this is NATO of the Central Asian countries, but it is not strictly followed like that of NATO. Article 4 states that if one state is subjected to aggression by any other state or group of states, then this will be considered as aggression on all the state parties which are treated with this. So that's why I said it is similar to that of NATO. The Collective Security Council is the highest body of organization and consists of the head of the states. The chairman is transferred in order of Russian alphabet unless council decides otherwise. This is about the CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization led by Russia. Next, the 13th question is on Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. It seeks to amend the 1955 Act. It gives citizenship on the basis of religion, to 6 undocumented non-Muslim communities: Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi, Christian from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh who entered India on or before 31st of December 2014. They do not apply to the tribal areas of Tripura, Mizoram, Assam, and Meghalaya, as they are included in the 6th schedule. And the area that falls under the inner line, under this inner limit notified under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873, will also be outside the Act's purview. And the Citizenship Amendment Act states that the OCA card holders, the immigration status permitted foreign citizens of Indian origin to live and work in India indefinitely, can lose their status if they violate local laws for majority and minor, even for the major and minor offences and violations. Next, the 14th question is on Code of Practice for Securing the Consumer Internet of Things. It is released by the Telecom Engineering Center under Department of Telecom, Ministry of Communication. IoT is the seamless connectivity of network of embedded objects, devices with the identifier in which the machine-to-machine communication without any human intervention is possible using the standard and interoperable communication protocols. Guidelines for securing IoT. If you see, all IoT device default passwords shall be unique per device, and also requires the user to choose a password that follows the best practices during the device provisioning. Disclosed vulnerabilities should be acted in timely manner, and the software components in IoT devices should be securely updatable. The updates shall be timely and should not adversely impact the functioning of the device. The principle of least privilege, it limits the user's access rights to read, write, or execute only files or resources necessary to do their jobs. The security sensitive data, including any remote management and control, should be encrypted in transit as per the properties of the tech and usage of device. All keys should be managed securely and should secure the personal data in a separate way. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. The India State of Forest Report 2021. The India State of Forest Report will be released once in every 2 years by the Forest Survey of India. So released by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Assessment of Indian forest and tree cover published once in every 2 years by the Forest Survey of India under this Environment Ministry. And various important observations. If you see, total forest cover is 7,13,789 square kilometers, that is 21.71% of geographical area of India. And the total forest cover has increased by 0.22%. Dense forest also has increased by 501 square kilometers. The moderate dense forest has decreased by 1500 kilometers approximately, and open forest has increased to 2621 kilometers, and also the scrub is also increased. And the top 5 states with respect to forest cover are Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Maharashtra. And top 5 states by percentage, if you see, Mizoram, Arunachal, Meghalaya, Manipur, and Nagaland. So these are the top 5, and top 5 with percentage. Okay, so rest of some other data is also given. You can just go through it. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. The 16th question is on the Article 29. Under Article 29, if you see, the minorities is given, but the word minority is not defined in the Constitution. The government will define this. Article 28 prohibit the state-run educational institutions from giving religious instructions. Article 29 basically gives every citizen the right to protect and conserve their own distinct languages, script, and culture. So not only minorities, even majorities also have the right to conserve and preserve their culture. And Article 29 grants protection to religion, linguistic, and cultural minorities. But the rights are not necessarily restricted to minorities. It includes minorities as well as majority, that is 29. But under Article 30, the rights are given only to the educational institutions of minorities specifically. It's about 16th question. Next, the 17th question is on seismicity in the Kutch region. A major earthquake in the last 30,000 years changed the landscape of Katrol hill fault in the Kutch of Gujarat. The real-time monitoring of earthquake devastation since 2001, that is the Bhuj earthquake, indicate that most of the faults in the region, that is Kutch mainland fault, South Wagad fault, the Gidi fault, Island Belt fault, they are seismically active, but the seismic activity along other faults like the Katrol hill fault is not apparent, making the task of seismic hazard estimation and mitigation in the region significantly very complex. Next, the 18th question is on the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. The 1976 42nd Amendment Act is considered as mini constitution. The various changes are made to the preamble, and even the DPSPs are added and all. In the preamble, the three words socialist, secular and integrity were added. Democracy basically is part of original constitution only. Only these three words are added to the preamble. Fraternity was also part of the original preamble. Next, the 19th question is on citizenship. Citizenship is listed in the Union list under the exclusive jurisdiction of the Parliament. Parliament has complete authority, and the Constitution do not define the word citizen, but mentions categories of person entitled to citizenship, and are in Part 2. In India, single citizenship is adopted and it is taken from the British, you can say. It is adopted from the British Constitution. So, citizenship can be acquired through birth, descent, and through registration, through acquisition of territories, and through naturalization. These are the various ways to acquire Indian citizenship. Next, 20th question is on the Constituent Assembly of India. In 1934, M.N. Roy actually proposed this idea of Constituent Assembly, and further it is taken up by the Congress in 1935 as an official demand. The British accepted it in the August of 1940, and then elections were held for Constituent Assembly under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946. The members were elected indirectly by the members of provincial state assemblies via the single transferable vote, and it set up 13 committees to the draft constitution. The 7 members committee made the draft based on the report of these committees. Next, the 21st question is on DPSPs, which is on the Part 4, Articles 36 to 51, and the idea of DPSP was taken from the Irish Constitution in 1937, and it was initially copied from the Spanish. So Irish copied it from Spanish and India copied it from Irish. Dr. Ambedkar described them as novel features of Indian Constitution. So these are the various important articles. Just pause and go through it. Already we have discussed them. 22nd question is on Sir Creek. Sir Creek is a disputed creek between India and Pakistan in Gujarat. It is 96 kilometer estuaries between the Kutch in Gujarat and Pakistan's Sindh. It don't lie in the Gulf of Khambat. Originally named Banganga, it is named after the British representative. It opens up to the Arabian Sea and divides the Kutch from Sindh province of Pakistan. Next we have Kori, Padla, Paveri, Pinsanai and Pinarbari located along the border area in India. You have the Talweg principle, which is followed by most of the countries. So it says that the legal principle, that is boundary between two political entities, is a waterway. Follows the center of the principal navigable channel of a waterway, which is presumably the deepest part. So if there are multiple channels in the river, the one used for downstream travel and it is likely to have the strongest current is used. So this principle is actually used. Okay. The next 23rd question is on Linguistic Provinces Commission. In June 1948, the government of India appointed this Linguistic Commission under S.K. Dhar. Dhar recommended for reorganization based on administrative convenience. After this, you have this JVP committee, Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel and Pattab Sitaramaya JVP committee. They also rejected language as the basis for division of states. Later on, in October 1953, the government of India was forced to create the first linguistic state, Andhra Pradesh, by separating the Telugu-speaking areas from the Madras state. This followed a prolonged popular agitation. This actually it was possible because of the prolonged agitation and death of Poti Sriramulu, who was a congressman. He went on for a 56-day strike for this state of Andhra Pradesh. Next, you have the Fazl Ali Commission. Then this Fazl Ali Commission accepted language as the criteria for division of states. Next 24th question is already discussed. Next 25th question is about the important geopolitical events. In Chile, they decided to write a new constitution in view of climate and environmental emergency. Burkina Faso, where the military deposed its president and suspended the constitution. Next, in Indonesia, they passed a bill to move its capital from Jakarta to East Kalimantan in the east of Borneo Island, 2000 kilometers away. The new capital will be called the Nusantara, meaning archipelago. Next, the 26th question is on the Government of India Act 1915. The Act of Parliament passed, the Act of British Parliament passed in July 1915 and went into effect on 1st of January 1916, replaced 47 prior acts of the Parliament starting with the 1770s. It brought a firm reform with respect to jurisdiction of High Court. It was held that no High Court could extend original jurisdiction over matters concerning the revenues or any act done concerning a relation to it. This is about the Government of India Act 1915. Also remember this Government of India Act 1935, which is very important. Next 27th question is on the committees of Constituent Assembly. Steering Committee is headed by Rajendra Prasad. The Finance and Staff Committee also by Rajendra Prasad. The Credential Committee by Alladi Krishna Swamy Iyer. House Committee by Pattab Sitaramaya. The Order of Business Committee Munshi K.M. Munshi. Ad Hoc Committee on National Flag Rajendra Prasad. Committee on Function of Constituent Assembly G. Mavlankar. The States Committee by Nehru. Advisory Committee on Fundamental Right, Minority, Tribal and Excluded Areas by Vallabhbhai Patel. Minority Subcommittee by H.C. Mukherjee. The Fundamental Right Subcommittee by J.P. Kripalani. And the Northeast Frontier Tribal Areas and some partially excluded area Subcommittee by Govindranath Bardoli. And you have the Union Power Committee by Nehru, Union Constitution Committee by Nehru and Drafting Committee by Ambedkar. These are the various committees and the heads of that committee. Next 28th question is again on DPSP. We have seen the important DPSP, but the thing is that note that the DPSP will ensure social economic democracy, mainly the economic democracy you can say, and the DPSPs are non-justiciable. Article 37 says that the principle says that these principles are fundamental in governance to the country and state must apply them while making the laws. They are not made justifiable because India did not have sufficient financial resources at the time of independence. This is about the DPSP. Next, the 29th question is on National Superconducting Mission. IISc Bangalore installed Param Pravega, which is one of the most powerful Indian supercomputers. Supercomputing power of 3.3 petaflop is there. The NSM launched to enhance the research capacities in the country by connecting them in the form of supercomputing grid with the National Knowledge Network as the backbone. Part of this is imported from abroad and partly built indigenously. Mission is steered by Department of Science and Technology, METI, and Center for Development of Advanced Computing, CDAC, Pune, and IISc Bangalore. They are the implementing centers. Next, the 30th question is on Article 21. 86th Amendment Act gave right to education as fundamental right under Article 21A. Article 21 is providing for free and compulsory education to all children of 6 to 14 years. It do not guarantee the right to receive education in mother tongue, while it contemplates the right to free education, and Rajasthan has held it. It's the first document on RTE by Ramamurthy Committee in 1990 was given. So these are the various questions for the day. These are the first 30 questions. The next lecture we will continue from here. Okay, so that's it guys for this lecture. If you have any queries or any issues, do get back to us and leave your thoughts in the comments. These are the prices of the summaries. If you want to subscribe to them, do mail to us and do get back to us. We will definitely help you. That's it guys for today's lecture. We will meet again tomorrow with the next set of questions. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.